The Detroit Pistons lose a close game to the Toronto Raptors, 95-91. We'll talk all about the ugly play that led to the loss, the career game by Marvin Bagley, and Piston fans, we have a victory lap of validation that we need to take. We'll talk about it all right here next on the DSN News Desk.
Never fall back. We will stay right where we at.
What's good, Detroit Sports Nation? I am Eric Vincent, your host here at the DSN News Desk. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your time and support because we got to chop up this 95-91 final score of the Detroit Pistons and the Toronto Raptors. Ended up as a Piston loss, but did not come up short in terms of dramatics. I swear, these two teams always find a way to play each other close and down to the wire, and today was no different at all. The Pistons were turned from the beginning. Wasn't the prettiest game. The game kind of had like a 90s feel to it, or like an early 2000s feel, with the low scoring and kind of the, back and forth defensive efforts between both teams. It kind of had that old school feel to an extent. And to me, if the Pistons do end up developing any rivalries as they, go through their progressions of their restoration, I feel like if they get any rivals on their radars down the line, it'll be the Toronto Raptors, because the way they play each other constantly, the constant Cade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes comparisons, knowing that Dwayne Casey used to coach for the Raptors, and it just seems like so many things are tied together, and it seems like this could be start of some kind of a rivalry between the two. I mean, even the fans, when they come out and show out the way they do, there's a lot of people at LCA, but a lot of them happen to be from Toronto, and from Windsor, and from Canada, so it's a lot. It's a lot of energy in building when these two teams play, and it could be an issue or a situation where they form out as rivals down the way in the Eastern Conference. I would love to see it, and unfortunately, I would have loved to see this game turn out as a victory as well, because this kind of came out as a game that the Pistons should have won. They weren't real crisp in the fourth quarter, had some bad turnovers down the stretch, had 13 total for the game, didn't really shoot good altogether, only shot 40% from the field, 25% from three. But even if you look at it, the Raptors didn't shoot that good either. They shot 37% from the field, and then 27% for three for them. So again, it kind of adds to that old school feel where it was just kind of like, defensive haymakers going back and forth, and a lot of offense being predicated on fast breaks and, opportune basketball. That's what we're seeing a lot of the time. And before we get into more of the breakdown and kind of what happened in terms of the loss, it wouldn't be right if we didn't start with the headline name of this game, Marvin Bagley. Came off the bench, played his first game since dealing with his hand injury. They kept him on the bench for weeks or months at a time now at this point. Has only played 25 games for the Pistons this season, and it kind of seems like less than that. And he played easily his best game of the year and possibly his best game as a Piston. Marvin Bagley was absolutely fantastic coming off the bench today. Only played 27 minutes, 21 points off the bench, 18 rebounds, 11 offensive rebounds for Marvin Bagley. He's not a tremendous rebounder, but you couldn't tell today with how active he was. He was keeping every shot alive that the Pistons were missing, because be clear, they were missing a lot. And he was a big reason that they were able to keep extra shot opportunities at the rim, and he was just all over the place with his activity. He was doing a lot for this team, and I was extremely pleased and satisfied with what he was doing, especially considering the circumstances, because while he didn't start, the starter was James Wiseman, because he started in place of Jalen Duren, who's resting his ankle injury. Wiseman fouled out. He got a double-double, played pretty good. He's got 10 points, 10 rebounds, kind of got out of position in a few different areas defensively, and unfortunately fouled out with a double-double. So because of that, and on top of that, another front court injury with Beef Stew now going down. He didn't really play much in the second half because of, I think, hip soreness. So now due to that, that required extra minutes from Marvin Bagley to be a little bit more productive. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, he played great down the stretch with his defense, played really good offensively as well. But for whatever reason, one of the last plays of the game, he has the ball in his hand and he catches the ball. He's going up for a shot and the ref calls it, but doesn't call it for in the act of shooting. So he only gets to go to the line for 2 shots. Even though it's clear when he's raking his arms up, he's going up for a 3-point shot. And at that point, the Pistons were only down 3. Refs totally screwed that call up completely. Marvin Bagley should have went to the line for 3, put him in a situation where he made the first free throw. He missed the second, but the Pistons weren't able to get a rebound. They didn't have any timeouts at that point, so they were kind of stuck with their hands behind their back. So, ugly finish, unfortunately, in that regard, but a beautiful game by Marvin Bagley. Again, he shot 9 of 19, wasn't great in terms of efficiency, missed a lot of free throws as well, 3 of 8, but he got giving you 11 offensive rebounds and 18 total. Again, he almost had a 20-20 performance, so I can't really take too much away from Marvin. He was the best Piston on the floor all game. And unfortunately, he didn't get a whole lot of help behind him. Bojan was kind of slow out the gate, didn't really score much in the first half, finished with 11 points, 9 rebounds. Wiseman again had a double-double. Jaden Ivey had 10 points, didn't really shoot the ball well at all with 3 of 16 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3, but did a really good job of distributing the basketball, getting 10 assists, almost getting his career high of 11 by the end of the game too. Didn't get enough minutes. Unfortunately, we saw a lot of Corey Joseph down the stretch, which continues to boggle my mind by Dwayne Casey. But whatever. They clearly have some pact where when they play the Raptors, we're both going to be on high display in these games. So whatever. He didn't get to see too much for that. Again, Isaiah Stewart only played 18 minutes. Didn't really, get super active in the game. 5 points, 9 rebounds. Killian Hayes seems to kind of be regressing back to the, enigma form that we've been talking about all his career. 32 minutes, only scored 3 points, 1 of 6 from the field, 6 assists, 3 turnovers. Killian's got to get it together, man. Again, we see the highs of Killian, and we're starting to see the lows a lot more often. And coming off the All-Star break, we thought this team would look a little bit more energized and ready to go. Killian seemed to be kind of lethargic in this game, and I wasn't impressed with what I saw from him. Pretty good bench performance. Isaiah Livers, 11 off the bench. Diallo, 11 off the bench. Burks didn't play a whole lot, and to me, that's kind of some of the confusion I had in this game. I was kind of confused seeing guys like Corey Joseph play the minutes he had. Hamidou playing a little more extended than I thought he would. But at the same time, again, these Pistons lost this game more so because of their lack of execution in the fourth quarter. When they get in the fourth quarter and they're dealing with the lead or they're trying to get the lead back, they play out of control constantly. A lot of one-on-one basketball, a lot of just, give me the ball, clear out, I'll go do my thing. Jaden Ivey does that a little bit too often. Bojan has been the king of that. Like, Jeremy Grant did that a whole lot last season with his isolations and his out-of-control hero ball type play. We're seeing that a lot from Bojan and some other players. And to me, I think that's where this team misses Cade Cunningham the most, because he's the floor general that's able to set guys up in their positions and be able to move the ball and get some fluid offense going to close out a needed fourth quarter. So I think they really miss Cade in that regard, and that's something that we'll pay attention to big time next year. Now, I think I have a philosophy in my life. So I believe it's okay to be a hater. I think it's okay to be a hater as long as you're objective and fair. Like, you don't have to like everybody in sports. You don't have to be a fan of everybody, but you do have to be fair when they do something that deserves the credit that you see. Now, for me, I have a lot of athletes that I can't stand. At the top of that list is somebody that the Raptors fans, that social media, that NBA media has overhyped unbelievably high. And it unbelievably hyped him up to the point where I'm comfortable enough to say this statement. Scotty Barnes is the most overrated basketball player in the NBA. I am disgusted thinking back and remembering all the nonsense Raptors fans spewed on social media last season that they had to try to do to pump up Scotty Barnes to get Rookie of the Year, the way they degraded Cade's game, only to look at Scotty Barnes, who they called Baby Giannis, San Antonio Kawhi Leonard, the next Magic Johnson. Scrub through the tweets. I promise you it's there. They hyped this man up, said a superstar leap was coming in this season, and he is still, at best, the third best player on his team on a night-to-night basis. That has been the consistent fact with Scotty Barnes. I'm so tired of the hype train. Now be clear, he's a good player. I would like Scottie Barnes on the Detroit Pistons. They need a stretch four like him. He's very good defensively. He's very athletic. He's very unique. He's got his man body already in his second year. He has upside as a player. But it's the extra stuff that takes me over the edge. Calling him generational, a superstar league, baby Giannis. Like, what are we talking about? How many games last season did you see Scottie Barnes look like the best player on the floor? 3 times maybe? Can you count it up on one hand? I promise you can on 2. He's a role player. He is a role player, and you saw that last night. Or sorry, not last night. You saw that today in this game. 12 points, 5 of 17 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. In the first half, he had more personal fouls than points. He had 3 personal fouls in the first half, didn't score the entire first half. Scottie Barnes was literally a piece in trade discussions where the Toronto Raptors were interested in possibly getting Kevin Durant from the Brooklyn Nets because he was disgruntled and wanted out. They had a chance to maybe pull the trigger and get him. But what was the untouchable piece? Scottie Barnes? Really? Really? That's where we at now. I don't think I'll ever forgive the NBA world for the overhyping of this man. So to be very clear, that's where my hate comes from. I'm not saying he can't play. I'm not saying he's a scrub. I'm saying he ain't what y'all hyped him up to be. Raptors fans, if you find your way to this video, I'm talking to you. He is not what y'all hyped him up to be. He's a good player. He does what the Raptors need him to do. But if you didn't have all NBA Siakam and Gary Trent Jr. and OG Anunoby, who's played better than him on a night-to-night basis, if you didn't have those guys in front, you're not building around Scottie Barnes. And you talked about him as an untouchable piece in a Kevin Durant trade? Absurd. Absolutely absurd. It is good. It's only because of the overhyping that the NBA world has done. I'll never forget how he won Rookie of the Year. I'll never forget how he won Rookie of the Month in March over Cade, while Cade Cunningham was averaging 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. And they gave it to Scottie Barnes, who was averaging 17, 7, and 7. But because Siakam was dropping 40 balls and they went on a winning streak roll, they gave it to Scottie Barnes for Rookie of the Month, and that ended up with him winning, stealing Rookie of the Year. I can't wait to see how this plays out in 5 years. I cannot wait to see how this award and these narratives play out in the next 5 years, because Piston fans, we deserve a lap of validation on this one. We were right. We all knew who was the best in this class, and we've been saying it for the longest, but every single time the Raptors play against the Pistons, we're validated again. Does Scottie Barnes have a signature play against the Detroit Pistons? Does he have a signature moment, a signature game, anything? No. Cade Cunningham does. That block he had against Gary Trent Jr. on the road, the ISO he had against OG Anunoby with the left hand to close out the game, those are signature moments for him. Name Scottie Barnes. Tell me in the comment section. Talk to me. I'll wait. You know why you don't have one? Because he didn't do anything. He doesn't have any against the Pistons, and he may not even have any throughout his tenure from what I've seen. He's a role player, and it's okay to say that. Felt good to get that hateration out. Talk to me in the comment section, though. I'd love to hear your feedback about the game. What did you think about the Pistons coming up short to the Raptors today, 95-91? And where do you think they will be going moving forward? I would love to hear your feedback. Talk to me in the comments, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. We're fresh over 6,000 subscribers, on our way to 7,000, and we're trying to make that happen with your support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, we would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you tap in on our social media as well: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above. Search and follow Detroit Sports Nation and lock in with yours truly, at I am Eric Vincent. Thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate your support. Go Pistons, and I'll see you again soon right here with another update from the DSN News Desk. Peace.